guys, coming to you with yet another week of my summer programming and yet another fatal flaw in my training. As things have just continued to feel kind of shitty, this procession in particular, I'm just starting to realize that my wrapped squatting days are going backwards. My unwrapped squats feel great. Those are starting to move faster, but the things that I'm hitting in wraps are feeling more difficult than they used to feel without wraps, and so that kind of set me back to the drawing board again. Now, I don't necessarily mean to look like a program hopper. I've just been, a little bit more experimental in what I've been doing personally than with what I usually even recommend for the people that I coach, and how I write programs is not the same as what I've been doing here this last couple months. And I had a conversation with a buddy of mine named Luis Vasquez out of Sun City Iron in El Paso, and was just kind of ranting to him a little bit about some of the frustrations that I've had. And one of the big holes in my program that he pointed out was the fact that I've been making basically 80-pound jumps in my training max every other week, since that's about the difference between my wrapped and unwrapped squat. And that trying to do that, although it looks good on paper and the percentages make sense, it doesn't allow your central nervous system time to really acclimate to handling those weights, or moving them with any sort of explosiveness, because I'm making more or less 80-pound jumps from week to week, even though the percentages make sense. And so one of the things that he recommended is just staying out of wraps for the time being. He says that although it is a little bit different squat groove, you'll get more mileage out of just training without them or training just in sleeves, and then when it comes time to actually prep for a meet, spending 100% of the training in the wraps. And so I kind of toyed around with leaving the program the same as I had it, but just going true to just the wrapless portion of it and keeping the percentages. But then I kind of took a look at some of the things that I had a lot of success with in the past, and that was just real basic linear progression. And that's kind of how I program the people that I coach. We don't necessarily go quite as complicated as what I've been doing here these last few weeks. We just make small, 2.5% jumps in weight from week to week. That way everything builds up real slowly, and you still get a good amount of technical practice along the way without having these big jumps in weight that cause form to break down or bar speed to drop too drastically. Know this on paper, and I know it, and when I'm programming, I for some reason kind of forget this when I'm putting together things for myself or wanting to, maybe experiment with finding a little bit more optimal way of training. And I always seem to come back to, the things that have always worked are always going to work, and the principles that worked for, lifters 20, 30 years ago, the same principles still ring true today. And it's not to say that, just straight linear progression is best for everyone, but at least in this off-season period of time, I don't need to overcomplicate things by trying to have too many training variables and too complex of a plan, when what's always worked for me the best is trying to move things explosively with good technique and adding a little bit of weight progressively over time, and allowing that to create more volume. And so it's not to say that this has been a waste. I have learned a lot of things in the last couple of months, and my technique has gotten significantly better in the last couple of months. But I think it's time to kind of take some of those lessons and then just reapply them into the little bit more basic setup that I used to use in the past. And so I'm going to be making a couple of changes. I do still like the rotation that I've been doing with my deadlift training, so that's not going to change too significantly. But one of the things that I am going to be doing, per Luis's suggestion, is bringing the volume of my main movement down just a little bit. That way I can focus on using the accessory lifts or the variations of the lift to build the volume and kind of correct weak points, and then flip-flopping that towards more of a peaking cycle where we put more of the volume on actual main competition movement. So I'm going to kind of spend the rest of this week retooling that and seeing how that's all going to look, and I will kind of give you a better explanation of what that program modification will look like starting next week. But that is where I'm at. A little bit of a frustrating squat session, but that is the process of learning. Becoming better at this, and that's kind of always my underlying goal, is to learn everything that I can, experiment with the things that I learn, and try and find ways of taking that new information and basically further refining it into what I know works well and applying that for my people that I coach. So that is it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe to my channel. If you haven't done so already, be sure to connect with me on Facebook and Instagram. And as always, check out all the programs that we offer here at the gym, except for the one that I've been doing at www.savagegym.com.